Can mix in there, you know, run instead of being totally covered, I think.
That's a good idea, isn't it?
And of course, we're going to cook that upside down this way, reforming it like a large cabbage. So I have my vegetable stew that's cooking here. I'm gonna put that right on top in the middle here. I'm gonna put about a cup of white wine here and half a cup or 3/4 of a cup of stock here. We bring
Then all these juices are going to mingle together.
Yes. We have to bring it to a boil on top of the stove, then we put it into the oven. Here we are. Here.
What's the oven at?
375.
It should
And
just
now we just have to
slowly
wait.
simmer.
Wait and have a glass of wine, right?
Yes.
Good. Well, I think it's cooked. We'll bring that
There.
behind you.
Well, that was about 2 hours for that
Yes,
big
for
one.
the big
Yeah.
one. Watch out, this is hot.
Now, how are you going to get it out of the pan?
Well, I'm going to get it with one of your beautiful spatula there.
That's coming out. That's
I
beautiful.
think that should be fine.
That's fine. Smell.
I think we'll serve it without the...
Without...
So don't forget to remove it. And it's a good thing, you see, that I did not go completely underneath. So that will come out easy because look at that.
No, you have some...
Yes, we have some
Sauce
extra
like
sauce.
that.
Extra sauce like that, a little bunch of parsley on top. And isn't that beautiful?
Well, let's see how she serves.
Yes, let's see how she serves. That's another thing. Okay, I'm gonna cut a wedge right here. Look at that, beautiful.
And then a little sauce on top.
You want to be generous with your portion there because this is good stuff, right? Here we are.
We're going to now taste it.
This is really a great man course.
You have asbestos mouth.
Yeah. I clench my teeth a lot.
Mmm.
It's good.
It was a very nice dish.
Especially that taste of caraway seed is delicious.
And we're going to do a classic dish, cauliflower au gratin. It's the cauliflower is cooked and then it's arranged in a baking dish and covered with a delicious cream cheese sauce or cheese cream sauce.
So what you do here, all you take is the core, and you can even keep that for soup. And at that one, I put that upside down with a little bit of water in there so it kind of steam and boil at the same time, which is what I
Easy
have
cooking.
here. Yeah, and it's, yeah, that's it. It's cooked, Julia.
Okay.
So we can start on the sauce.
This
Good.
is the classic bechamel. I'm going to make about 3 cups of sauce. I need about 3 tablespoons of butter. And then it's going to have flour in it. I think it's essential that the flour and butter cook together about 2 minutes to cook the flour. You want to put in 3 tablespoons of plain all-purpose flour.
1, 2, 3. Yes, you can go a good tablespoon per cup of liquid, and you'll have a nice creamy
Not
sauce.
too thick.
You want to cook that for a little while?
I'll cook that for a little while.
Well, during that time, I may start on those vegetables here. Just to show you, we have turnips and carrot. And in that case here, we turn the turnips and carrot. And what you have to do is to cut each of your turnips into equal pieces and each of your carrot into equal pieces too. And then after, we turn them, although you could use them this way. That is, with the point of a knife, you turn them into a little bit of a football shape. Here we are. You know, you do a couple like that, and we keep everything. You keep the trimming, you know, for soup or other things, so you don't throw out anything. And we do the same thing with the turnips. In that case here, I did not peel the turnips, so you wouldn't want to keep the shape, but you want them to have a nice, all equal shape.
While he's doing that, I want you to look at this. This is the flour and butter for the roux. You want it to froth and foam for about 2 minutes, and that cooks the flour so you don't have a pasty sauce. And if it won't spread out nicely, add a little bit more butter. But I think this is ready now.
Okay. So what
take
we'll
it off
do
the
now,
heat.
I'm going to take, this is cooked and I have a little bit of liquid around. We're going to use that liquid in the white sauce over there. So I put the lid this way.
I think before you do that, I have hot milk here. I'm going to put in
put a bit of milk
a
in
bit
there?
of milk first,
Okay.
stirring it around.
Getting nice and thick.
All right.
So I'll add this to you.
That's enough.
Okay.
Good.
And that gives you the taste of the cauliflowers.
And we want to stir this around vigorously.
And during that time, I will remove that cooked cauliflower to the gratin dish here. I could give you a little more of that juice here.
Good, I could use a little more.
Okay.
Good.
You have salt and white pepper
And now,
here.
because you've carefully cooked your flour and butter together, you don't need to simmer it a great deal. After it's brought up to the boil, there's a little white pepper, some salt. Let's have a little tiny bit of nutmeg, Jack.
Okay.
An itty bit.
You have a whole nutmeg like this. You can use a little cheese grater, or you can use the side of a knife to scrape it like this.
You don't want too much nutmeg because you don't want to taste it and say, oh, nutmeg.
Right.
It has to be subtle.
So now what we do, I separate the flourette this way. This is really hot. And I turn them back the other way so that we have a nice gratin. This is good too, actually. I'm going to cut that piece here and I'll add it to it in the corner here. And what I want to put, however, on top of it, I put a little bit of Swiss cheese grated before you put the sauce. Huh? Maybe a dash of salt and pepper.
I think we can put some cream in here.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah, I think you have it.
Yes, I have a little bit of cream for you.
Well, that's pretty
Yeah,
thick.
because that's a bit too thick, right? You want this? So, my gratin is ready. Do you want that to come to a boil first?
It's come to a boil. It's already boiled.
So we are ready.
We are ready. Do we have a big spoon?
Yeah.
That's a good idea, putting the cheese on there. Then they'll go cheese on top of the sauce.
You know what? We need all that sauce. People often, they don't put enough, you know.
Yes. This would be going with a kind of a lean meal, like just a roast or broiled chicken or lamb.
The gratin is always welcome at my house. Julia, you put some cheese on top?
I think so. I think I like the Swiss cheese on this.
Yeah, you want to cook your gratin on a jelly roll pan or a cookie sheet on top, because if it's spilled over and the heat transfer is better and it's easier to get in and out of the oven.
Now you
With a
can,
little bit on
get,
that
you can
corner.
get this ready several hours ahead. In this case, because it's all hot, you could probably put it quite a distance under a hot broiler and it would heat the whole thing.
Oh, yes,
But if we're cold, you'd have to put it in the oven at about a
in the hot oven.
375
Yeah.
oven. It'd take you about 20 minutes for the to cook through and the top
wait.
to brown.
I'm going to put it in the oven.
So it's a good dish to have, mainly because you can get it done ahead of time. It's really delicious, I think.
Yes. And
Very
maybe during
old-fashioned.
that time, maybe we'll start this. You think the carrots are going to cook a bit longer, right?
Yes, I'd
So
put
maybe
them-
we should
do them
start the
first,
carrot
I
first.
think.
So what I have to do in there is to put some water. What happened there is that you want to glaze the carrot and the turnips. So to achieve that first, they have to cook. So you put about just enough water. It doesn't even come to the top. In this, you put a little bit of salt that you're going to need. Then we put a little bit of sugar.
And that makes for the caramelized
for the
glaze.
Yes, and a piece of butter. You want to cook your carrot 3 or 4 minutes ahead and then add the turnips. What happens is that as soon as they are tender enough, you remove the lid, then it boils down, and by the time you are left with the sugar and the butter, it's going to caramelize and start glazing the vegetables. Well, this is boiling very nicely. Now for about 4 or 5 minutes, I'm going to add the turnips, put it back, and cover it and cook it until it's just a bit firm but starting to get tender.
You may have seen this ugly-looking thing in your grocery and wondered what in the world it was. It's a celery root or a celeriac. It makes an absolutely lovely salad. You can cook it and mix it with mashed potatoes. But you have to peel it.
Yes. But first, you know, while I'm going to peel that, I'm looking at my carrot here. You see they are tender. This is tender too, and basically there is no more juice left or very little. So now I cook it without the lid, meaning that it's going to reduce more and more and eventually start glazing. So I'll keep an eye on it while doing this. First, the part of the root here, you have to cut a fair amount of it, you know.
It smells wonderfully of celery. If you do it ahead of time like this, you have to rub it with lemon because it discolors rapidly.
It's a hard skin. I have a very sharp knife, and you have to
So I'm going to rub
watch
this
your
with
finger.
lemon. Now we have to cut it in very thin matchstick sizes.
One of the easiest ways is probably doing it in the food processor, right? And that type of blade that I use here is a type of shredder. And it works actually quite well. And it's,
That's
of course,
the easiest thing. You
easiest
go
thing,
right in
because
here.
We'll give you
And
this.
if you do it ahead, be sure and put a little lemon juice and salt on it.
It is good that they marinate a little bit ahead so that the celery softens, you know.
And then you have the final sauce, and I'm going to make a mixture with a bit of mustard.
I think that my carrot and turnips are about right.
That's lovely.
Aren't they beautiful?
Lovely. Those you can do ahead and reheat. That looks beautiful.
I'm going to stop it right there.
I'm going to put in some sour cream.
Okay. You want a little whisk?
Mm-hmm. And there's a little mayonnaise, because you like mayonnaise too, so we have a bit of everything.
A good idea.
Now put her in.
I think we're going to need some pepper in there, though. White or black?
Oh, you like black, let's have black.
Okay.
Pepper is pepper.
Pepper is pepper. So, we toss it. And again, as you mentioned before, it's a good idea to do that a little ahead so they have time
then
to...
it softens and sort of all the flavors blend together.
Okay. Well, you want to
Well,
taste
let's have
it
a
now?
little taste. I want to grab it with my impeccably clean finger.
I think a little bit of salt, right?
Definitely.
You want to
There
give
we
me
are.
some there?
Now this, we will say this is sat for 2 hours,
Okay.
perfectly seasoned, absolutely delicious, ready to serve.
I have beautiful Boston lettuce here that we can put around. Do you want to ladle it in the middle?
All right.
And maybe I'll do a little decoration with a tomato
Well, that
on
would be
top.
nice.
I'll do a bit of a rose with the tomato skin. So what you want to do is to take the end like this to have a base. And then after start slicing around. And you want to cut in a jigsaw fashion with your knife so that you have a bit of a texture here. You know, and you do 2 strips.
So what's wonderful about you, Jacques, that you've worked all over the world and you've picked up all kinds of wonderful tricks.
Yes.
Which you are sharing with us, which is very nice.
And I enjoy sharing it with you and all my friends. So on that base here, where you have the first one, then you can do like a crown like this. You see that old?
Mm-hmm.
And then on the second one, you can roll it into a tighter scroll like this to put in the middle of it. Here we are.
And that's nice.
And you have a little
You should
touch.
have a
you know?
little hole there for it.
Yes, little touch that we put right on top here. That's it. Okay.
That is lovely.
The glazed vegetables are ready, you know. Look at that.
That's beautiful.
You want to put a bit of chive on top of this?
Yes, why not? So we have our gratin.
And now, the pièce de résistance is our gratin of cauliflowers. Oh, it's bubbling nicely. It's beautiful. And I think it's done.
Well, that's lovely. And you don't want to overcook it. You know, you can get some terrible steamed table cauliflower that is just awful and has a bad smell. But this, you cook it just until it's done, and it's perfectly delicious.
It's worth eating only vegetable. If you want to be a vegetarian, those you have great dishes that we enjoy making for you today.
And they're beautiful, and they'll please anybody.
Yes.
And I know they'll please you, so make them right away, and you'll love them.
Happy cooking.
And bon appetit.
presentation of KQED San Francisco.
Julia, I have a limerick for you.
God, I love limericks.
There once was a woman named Child who made sausages spicy and mild. Those tubular treats, stuffed with mystery meat, made her friend and relation go wild.
That's a wonderful... Oddly enough, I have one for you, Jacques.
Oh, good.
There once was a young man from Lyon whose knife work was exceedingly bon. His charcuterie was something to see, and the sausages weren't bad either.
Well, today we're going to show you how to stuff sausages and how to make pâté.
In your own kitchen.
Happy cooking.
Bon appetit. This is going to be an all-purpose sausage mixture for stuffing into cases or making into pâtés.
We have this one, you know, that you can buy at the market. This is beautiful. This is done with beef middle. I mean, it's about 2.5 inches.
Yeah.
But it's quite pricey. When you do it this way, I tell you, it's very inexpensive.
Yeah.
It has to be well seasoned, so we put 2.5 teaspoons of salt.
And this is 1.5 pounds of ground pork.
Exactly, yes.
What did we say? It was
About 3/4 teaspoon of ground black pepper.
Yeah.
I'm giving you a pinch of sugar, like half a teaspoon of sugar. And I'm giving you a little pinch here of potassium nitrate. This is saltpeter. And if you don't want to put it, it's fine, but you won't have the nice, beautiful red, you know, that you have in a frankfurter and pastrami and corned beef and so forth, you know.
I think it's slightly a preservative.
Yes, it does, yes. So you're putting white wine.
I want to put in 2 tablespoons of
About,
pinoles.
Pine nuts, yes.
I'm going to put in a tiny bit more because that's nicer. We're going to do two truffles.
Oh, good.
We're going to make them julienne.
All right, so well.
And these are very,
Those are the black truffle.
very expensive. I thought I was supposed to julienne them. Well,
Yeah, that's what I did.
That's chopped. You didn't julienne them. I'm trying to follow your recipe.
This is your recipe now. My recipe is there. So in my recipe now, I'm putting a couple of tablespoons of red wine in mine. It's more of a country, a bit more assertive taste, you know. I have basically the same salt, pepper, and so forth. And I'm putting about 2-3 tablespoons of pecan, coarsely chopped. You could have pistachio, you could have walnut, you know, in there, it'd be fine. And you could have no nuts at all, it's fine also. And inside, I'm putting a little clove of garlic, which you want to crush.
If you're
and
making
chop.
a big batch, you can certainly do this in your big, heavy-duty mixer.
So a very fine puree of garlic. That's it.
And now we're going to taste it and see how it is, because you want to make sure that you have enough seasoning in it.
Yes. And you're going to taste
We're going to
the mixture.
Just going to taste
Well,
it.
during that time, I wanted to show you the casing. This is a casing who usually come in salt. This has to be put in water, as I did here, and you should run it under the faucet, you know, and this is what I'm going to do here. What happened here, as you can see your sausage, you want to fill it up to wash the inside as well as the outside and soak it in water. And you can see the side of this one, you know, which is about 1.5 inches, kind of transparent. So you wash the inside this way, can soak it out in water again, and then it's basically ready to use at that point. How is the meat doing? Good?
Just getting it to turn over. Smells good.
And we're going to use those strange-looking sausage stuffer, you know. This is an oldie. I
That's
haven't
very
seen this
old.
one. Yes, my gosh, look at this one. It's a very simple thing. It's a funnel, you know, which goes into this, and you, of course, fix it up to the end.
And you don't have to have one of these at all, but
And then push the
more
meat
fun.
in it, right?
Now we're going to taste this, Jacques.
Okay. It's good. It's slightly over seasoned, which is the way it was by the time it's going to be mixed either with the potato salad and cured and so forth.
We're going to use the modern stuffer here.
Yes.
With my
Put it into that
impeccably
plastic.
clean hands.
That's
You
gonna
really have to get yourself into sausage making. If you try to use spoons and things, it's very difficult, I think.
So what happened after you want to put it this way?
Two more truffles in
Two
there.
more truffle, okay. And start cranking it this way. And at that point, you have to insert, of course, the opening of your sausage
It's
there.
very important that it be wet, or you're going to have trouble slipping
absolutely.
it on.
You can put quite a lot.
So this machine is expensive. That other one that was just a handheld, or you could use a pastry bag.
Here we are, sausage coming out
That's really
of it.
wonderful.
Yes, isn't it? That's it, that basically, and then after you can do your link of sausage by folding it in this way, and again. But I think that for the people who want to do it maybe in an easier way, we're going to show them a way by hand, right?
Good.
So what I have, I'm going to do this one this way. I put aluminum foil as well as parchment paper. And here we're going to
Now this
form a
will
sausage.
be useful to see.
Form a sausage. I mean, it's very easy. You just form the
Of course,
sausage by
you could
hand.
just make these into little pâtés and sauté them individually.
What you would want to do at that point, this has to be cured for at least 3 days, you know, under refrigeration. And it will develop the taste and the color that you want. So you press it into a sausage, and at that point would be like the store-bought sausage that we show you, which is about 2.5 inches thickness, you know. So you can form it this way, you know, into a nice sausage. So you do it first in this, and that can cure right in there for a couple of days. You know?
In the fridge.
Yes. So let's pretend that now it's been curing for several days, and we put it to cook in a water which is about the right temperature, right?
And that's about 180 or at the simmer.
And at that point, you would put that directly this way to push it in there. It has to have enough water to be immersed, and I use a lid to put on top of it to apply it so that it stays under the water. And it has to poach at that temperature for about 35, 40 minutes, depending on the size of your sausage. You know?
Good. Now we're going to make a sausage in brioche crust. The brioche is an egg dough. It makes a very nice bread, and it makes a very nice crust. And this the yeast things. I have dry active yeast. I have one package in here that's slightly less than a tablespoon. So you want 3 tablespoons of water.
3 tablespoons of water in there, okay. The water cold or lukewarm?
Lukewarm.
The tap, yes.
And then we want a nice pinch of sugar, which will help it work, and a little pinch of flour. Just take
Pinch
some
of flour,
from there.
good, okay. And
And then
then
we're going to let it
you want to
stir it
mix
up.
it.
And this is how it looks. This is, you know, when it's foamed up just like that, you know that it is ready to go.
Yes.
I think it's awful you get it all made and the dough hasn't risen, and it's because the yeast was killed by hot water or something.
This has a wonderful aroma of yeast. You can really see it working here. Okay.
And now we want 3.5 cups of flour. And the way I measure flour, my recipes are always, you dip the cup into the flour until it's overflowing, level it off, and you don't press it down, because if you tap it down, you could add a whole other tablespoon of flour and your measurements would be off. So there are 3.5 cups of flour in here, and 1.5 teaspoons regular table salt.
Okay, so here you are.
And then we have 1.5 sticks of chilled butter. that and the flour are going to blend together. We want butter broken up into rough granules. Let's turn it off now and take a look.
That's perfect.
Let's check it. See, they're just very small pieces of butter in there.
That's good.
And now we want 4 eggs and 1/3 cup of milk. And then that's going to dribble into
here.
here.
What about the yeast? You want to put it in there?
Yes, that can go in there
too. In
too.
there also? Okay. So hold the yeast, of course. You want to beat that up a bit?
Mm-hmm.
Good. You put it on?
Full blast.
Full blast, okay. Here we are.
Take a look at it. That seems pretty good, I think.
Yes, I think it looks terrific.
Mm-hmm.
You just have that type of elasticity that you need to.
Yeah.
And so now we're ready to take it out.
Mm-hmm.
Huh? Okay.
We'll put it in this bowl.
All right.
I have some that's already risen. I like to give 2 rises because I think it gives more body to the dough and more flavor. But then in any case, it needs deflating. And this is not what they call punch down. It's really flattened.
Oh, you crush the air out of it by flattening it.
Yeah, and then you turn it. And that redistributes the yeast for the second rise. At about 75 degrees, it'll probably take 1.5 hours to 2 hours.
A couple of hours, right?
And then we have one fully risen for you, Jack.
Here is the dough. It's flattened now.
Looks nice.
And here is the sausage. Can you undo that for me?
So this sausage is raw, and it's going to cook in its brioche crust.
Yeah. So we're going to press the brioche. It should be about rectangular, you know.
That looks nice. Smells good.
So you want to put, that smells good. You want to put that sausage on top of...
I'll let you put it on, because you know.
Yeah, go ahead, right in the middle. Beautiful with the truffle and all
lovely.
that.
That looks delicious.
Now, you know what I do here, which
and
is...
this is how thick would you say? It's
Oh,
about
I would say it's a good...
inch.
It's a good half inch. I think it's
3/8 inch, maybe.
Okay, 3/8 inch. All right. So here you put a little bit of flour on top of it. And this actually is to make the brioche stick to the sausage. Yeah. So we press it this way here. I need an egg to wash it.
That will stick it together, yeah.
Here we are. And then the other side should kind of overlap. And then the end of it, you can, if you want, press it a little bit this way to extend it. Again, we brush
this makes an awfully nice dish for cocktails or
yes.
a lovely summer lunch with a nice salad.
This one here. Here we are. So it is thicker on the bottom now, so you want to turn it upside down because it's going to sink a little bit as it proof, you know. I think we'll put it there.
Okay, this is going to proof again.
Yeah, this has to proof.
Oh, of course it
now
does,
here.
because it's the yeast dough.
So we have a nice brioche
That looks
this
very
way.
nice.
So we can brush it now again with the egg wash.
It makes a lot of difference to give a nice shiny crust.
We can mark the top, you know, if you want, with the back of a knife. Give a little bit of a design this way. And maybe we do a couple of chimney, right?
Yes, it has to, otherwise it'd be steaming when it baked.
Right. And what I like to put is a piece of aluminum foil around, you know, to hold it while it's cooking this way.
Keep its shape.
Yes, at least at the beginning. And I think I put a piece of string, holding it a little bit. And this has to proof again now.
That'll be about an hour and a half.
About an hour, yes. But for the time being, I have one which is kind of
good.
Proofed, you know.
But how do we know that it's proofed enough?
Well, you can smell it to start with. I'm going to put a little bit of this on top and put it back in the oven. What I like to put on top is a bit of breadcrumb also. Give you a
brown it nicely.
nice look, yes.
And then I think you can tell by feeling also.
Yeah, that is pretty soft. Spongy and soft, you know.
Yes.
So shall we put it in the oven
Okay.
for 375 degrees, and that will take a good 45 minutes about. Okay, and what we'll do, after about 15-20 minutes of cooking, we can take that piece of aluminum foil around. By then it will hold its shape.
Now we're going to do a pâté. This is a very festive type of French meatloaf, but it has wine and other things in it, and a variety of meats. But if you think of it as a meatloaf, then you won't be afraid of it, will you?
Yes, and it's very expensive when you buy that into specialty store. It costs a little fortune. So we're going to show you how to make it very easily. This is ground pork, and the ground pork will have a little more fat than we will have in the sausage, because with that we're putting a very lean ground veal, you know. And of course, if you don't have veal, and Julia,
you could use ground turkey.
Ground turkey would do something similar to this. So this
That's
is
about 3/4 of a pound each
Right.
of veal or turkey that's ground.
Right. We have about 2.5 pounds of meat. So in there, we have the salt and pepper, just to it. We have chopped shallots.
You got about 1/3 of a cup of them, haven't
We
you?
have a bit of chopped garlic. And we have some dry mushroom in it, and those are porcini in Italian, what we call cèpe in France, which are a dry wild mushroom, which is very strong. And I put it dry because the meat has to marinate several days, so they are going to reconstitute. We put some pistachio in there for color as well as taste.
The proportions aren't of great importance.
Cognac.
Must be the same proportions that we use for the sausage meat.
A couple of tablespoons of cognac, and I need some of your white wine over there.
There's a little white wine.
Thank you. About, I would say, 1/3 of a cup of white wine at least. And then in this, now it's highly seasoned, I have some chicken liver, and in those chicken liver, a dash of salt and pepper and a bit of cognac on top of it. And Julia is doing little strip of very lean veal and ham, yes. So now,
the reason for the strips is we're going to mold this into a loaf shape. And then when you cut it across, you'll see these nice pieces of veal and ham.
sometimes you can put an egg in it, some people do, sometimes a little bit of starch. This has to marinate or macerate at least 48 hours to 3 days, you know. And I also put a little pinch of saltpeter again in there to get the right color, yes. Oh, and I have my seasoning here that I almost forgot, and that I put that into a little coffee grinder, and I have a couple of bay leaf in it, I have some clove, I have allspice, and fresh thyme. That, of course, will give you a lot of taste. This is the secret seasoning ingredient, and then you can express yourself in that way, because from cumin to anything you want, you can work out your allspice, you know. Now, you can cook that into a loaf like this. This is a pâté mold cast iron.
Or you can use a bread pan.
Yes, and you can line it up or not line it up with what we have here. This is called cold fat.
You could get this in an Italian butcher shop, or you can have your butcher order it.
Yes.
Or just not use it because it isn't necessary, but it's kind of fun to have.
And CAUL, that's the cold fat. And
it's the membrane that holds all the pig's inner organs.
So, this could be marinated in the mold itself or outside. So what we do, we're going to do layer here. You want to put some of your strip of veal as well as...
alternate with veal and ham.
So I put a small layer again on top, and in the middle of that, Julia, we're going to put the chicken liver here.
That'll be nice.
And on each side, we can put more of this.
A bit of ham there.
That's it. So a pâté is really a question of having a good recipe, and it's an assembling procedure, but it's not particularly difficult to do. More of our meatloaf on top. I mean, a pâté like that, big party. I usually always do pâté around the Christmas time. And when I have a couple of pâté I do at home, when I ground it, I do 2 pâté. And I use it during the holiday because you can keep it for, of course, like a week and a half in your refrigerator. Slice it, and it does a lot of party around that time, you know. I put a little more of that on top. There's some ham, maybe, in the middle. And I finish with the rest of the meat here, which I'm going to spread on top.
It looks like so much meat, but it fits very nicely in, doesn't it?
Yes, yes. And then finally, you want to bring back your beautiful lassi.
Which is beautiful, isn't it?
Yes, it is. And maybe the finished touch on top, I put a couple of bay leaf.
That's
like
always a nice touch, I think.
And maybe a bit of dry thyme, you know. This, of course, you wouldn't want to cook it now. I said to let it marinate a few days. You put that, of course, in the double boiler. Because that has to cook. One of the secrets of pâté.
I mean, this is a double boiler, bain-marie.
In the seasoning, it has to be well seasoned. The second one, the amount of fat, it has to have a certain amount of fat to really. And the secondly, to cook it slowly a long time. If you cook it too fast, the whole fat melts.
Yeah.
And you change the whole texture, you know.
Cover the tureen tightly with a double thickness of foil, and then off it goes to a preheated 325-degree oven. Bake it for about 1 hour and 3/4 until your meat thermometer reads 155 degrees. Now here's one that's all ready to eat. It's cool and unmolded, and it just smells wonderful.
And as you can see here, I have a beautiful red color of a pâté with the liver in the center of it. And this, of course, has to do with a little bit of the saltpeter. You can see the pistachio in there.
And you can very faintly see
the chicken
livers and the ham and things. But that makes a very pretty slice.
Yes. And this, of course, very often is served. You can have black olives. You can have the cornichon, which is those small French gherkin in vinegar. Yeah, you could put some around this way. That would be nice. And you will put olive on the other side. With this, of course, you can have a good French mustard. A bread.
Bread, yes.
You need a great crunchy type of country bread with that. With a pâté, you have a picnic, you have a dry white wine, you serve it at the table. You can have a Beaujolais, ordinary wine. You can have a more pungent Merlot or Cabernet Sauvignon. Anything goes there.
Now here is the star of the sausage, Joe. That's the saucisson en brioche.
Right. The center of it, I mean, look at that brioche, you know. Oh boy, I can smell the truffle.
No, this is the same sausage meat we've been seeing. It's just all in different costumes.
Yes. But there, a beautiful brioche like this. Yeah, that would be a first course. I would have a piece like this, yes.
You would.
Now I'm going to cut a little piece just for you and me to taste, yeah? Here, eh? I can smell the truffle. They are good.
But it is nice to have the bread with it, I think.
It's delicious.
Good. There, now we'll never have to buy any sausage again. Bon appetit.
Happy cooking.
And here's to you, Jacques. That was a great
To you.
show.
Thank you for doing it.
A presentation of KQED San Francisco.
Today we're going to poach a chicken in wine and aromatic vegetables.
Okay, I'm going to get started.
That was beautifully, expertly, and rapidly done. But I think you read the wrong recipe. We need a whole chicken.
No problem. Here you are.
Just what I wanted, Jack. Now let's begin.
Happy cooking.
Bon appetit. Now we're going to do a very nice recipe, a whole chicken poached in white wine and aromatic vegetables like leeks and carrots. And we're going to serve it whole on a bed of rice with the vegetables around it.
Let's start.
There's our chicken.
Okay. So I have all the vegetables. We have leek, of course, celery, carrot. I've already have one leek cut. I'm going to peel that carrot. What are you going to put in the chicken?
I'm going to make an herb bouquet. There's some thyme and a few peppercorns. And I'm going to tie them all up in a piece of leek, which will keep them together. There's some fresh tarragon. You can hold it and I'll tie it.
Okay.
But you tie it up just so that you can lift it out when the chicken is done. And you won't have herbs floating around in the broth.
Actually, I'm going to do the same thing with those vegetables. It'd be easier to remove them. And I have a leek here. Take the first layer or two and keep that for stock. That's very good. And we want to open them. I won't put too much of the green here. Keep the green. We want to cut them in half. And I'm going to wash it because you see there is some dirt over there. So I'm going to cut this in half also. Good. And you have the pot for the chicken?
I do have a great big pot right here. This is really a very homey recipe, isn't it? Because you don't have to do much to anything. Should we put the chicken in first?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. And this isn't crust or anything. There doesn't no stuffing. It's just going in sideways.
Yes, so that you give me place for all the vegetables here. You don't have to do this, but it helps to remove the whole thing, you know. Okay, we have that next to it.
Beautifully.
It fits beautifully.
And then we have these little pearl onions, and we've just stuck some cloves into them.
Yeah.
You'll often see a recipe stuck with 2 cloves.
So we
and
have
these are going to go
here.
in too. And just to keep them from bursting, take your little knife and poke across about 1/4 of an inch deep into the root ends of the onions, and that helps keep them together.
We have all of it together. I'm putting the salt here and the bouquet garni, water, and we have some wine, right?
Yep, we're going to have half a bottle of white wine.
Half a bottle you're putting?
Yes, well, that's not very much.
I think the recipe was half a cup. We're getting to half a bottle.
That wasn't my recipe.
Okay.
There.
And about 10 cups of water. Sometimes the chicken come up to the surface and start floating. To keep it underwater, I put a colander or a sieve on top of it. With just the weight will hold it.
Is this going to cook with a cover or not?
No, I think we'll leave it this way and bring it to a boil and simmer it gently for about 15-20 minutes. Then after, it can cool off in the broth.
Now that is really a very slow boil or real simmer for 20 minutes. And now, time for the mushrooms to go in, just a little handful of mushrooms.
Good.
And then it's going to come up to the boil, and then it's going to be covered and set.
Yeah, it come back to a good boil.
Yep.
We cover it, come back to a strong boil, and now we leave it on the side for 45 minutes to an hour.
And you'll be amazed to see that everything is cooked.
Good.
Now we're going to do the dough for the chicken pot pie. We want 3 cups
You want 3 cups
of
of flour, yes?
We measure, as always, dip the cup into the flour until it's overflowing.
We have 2½ sticks of butter.
There we have 3 cups of flour. Now this butter, this is cold chilled butter cut into little cubes that's going to mix with the flour very nicely. We have...
How much shortening
We
you
want
want?
about 2 tablespoons of shortening.
Exactly
Reason for the shortening is to tenderize the dough, because we have all-purpose flour. And then have we had the salt in yet?
No, I put, you want a little dash of salt, right? About
Yeah.
half a teaspoon. You want a bit of sugar?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And that's it.
So,
You ready?
we're going to pulse it. Now we
Yes.
want a little water that goes in
Yeah.
there.
Yes, I put about 1/3 of a cup here. Let's see what happens.
Let's just need a little more.
Yeah.
You want it
You want
just
to
to
see what
hold together.
What do
Is
you
that
think?
holding?
Yeah, it's pretty soft.
I think it could have about 2 tablespoons more.
2 tablespoons more? Okay.
And this is ice water. And you
Good.
don't want to do it so much that it's going to sit on top of the blade. And now we take it up and turn it.
I can take it out this way and just gather it together here,
Gather
right?
it together into a...
To a dough, yeah. Can use even the plastic wrap now to gather it. You see, this is holding together very well.
That's
Yeah.
going to be quite a flaky dough because the butter is still in fairly large pieces.
Exactly.
And now it needs about a, what do you think, about a 2-hour rest?
Yes.
The chicken is done, and now we're going to show you how to serve it.
Yes.
This is really, it's a really chicken pot-au-feu, isn't it?
Right. See, we put that upside
Looks
down.
just like
This
a
is nice
colander,
because
yes.
it holds it underwater. And now we're going to take it out to carve it, right? With all the vegetable. Look at that here. Here it is here. And it's good to have that type of board because the juice is going to go
Yeah.
around now.
We're going to serve it on a bed of plain steamed rice with a little salt and pepper in it.
And you can see that chicken is cooked the way it's separate. You know, just I pull on it and it's separate this way. I'll put the wing. Julie, I'm going to remove the skin, right? To serve
Yes,
it like that
yes,
is better
I think
without
so.
the skin. Just actually slide the skin off.
That really
going
is
to-
cooked, isn't it?
Yes, slide very easily. And then we have the breasts like this, you know, are just sliding
This is-
apart. Okay, here it is. Here the breast. Whoop. You're going to rearrange it. I give you the thigh and the drumstick.
It certainly smells awfully good.
Yes. This is a real home style, you know, Sunday dinner or lunch. Here we are with that last piece. I have my whole chicken. That would be plenty for 4 people, huh?
Oh,
Don't you
it
think
certainly
so?
would. And there are your vegetables.
Now here is the vegetable. You know what I'm going to do is to put them right on top. Remove the
I'll
string,
separate them.
and we can separate them.
You really need 2 people in the kitchen, don't you?
It's much better with
Much
2.
better with 2.
Okay. Now I've got the bouquet garni here, which this we don't need. I have the rest of the onion there, the mushroom. Here we are. This is a really full platter, nice and hot. Maybe a little piece of parsley in the middle.
Yes, and put a little bit of the broth
Oh yes,
on.
that's a good idea, yes.
Everyone can have a little cup of broth
Yes, on
at
the side.
his or her side.
Even some crouton on the side, and certainly
Yes.
very often it's served with a mustard like this, and some people like the coarse salt.
That makes a very homey meal and a very nice informal Sunday lunch.
Yes.
Now here's a great chicken soup. We didn't eat all of that chicken and vegetables, so we've turned it into a first-rate chicken soup. And now, another recipe that's used with the same chicken was the chicken pot pie. And here's some of the stock, and we've reduced it so it'll have a lot of flavor. So we're going to make a chicken velouté sauce, which starts with a butter and flour roux, which you must always cook for about 2 minutes until it boils and bubbles, and then you're ready to add the liquid. That would be 2 tablespoons.
Yes.
And 2 tablespoons.
Yeah, it should be plenty. Good. And while you're doing the roux there, so I'll cut my vegetable this way. I have mushroom. I can leave them whole or cut them. The boiled onion. There is a great deal of vegetable here. Actually, it's probably twice the amount of vegetable for the amount of meat, which is fine.
That's going to be a super chicken pot pie,
Yes.
I think.
Are you putting the velouté in there? I mean,
Well, I haven't finished it yet.
Okay.
I just wanted to see what you was up to.
Well, I was waiting for your sauce to be
Well,
ready.
I can't do it now.
Okay. You want
You
me to
want to
help you
ladle
pour the-
me?
Yeah.
Ladle me some of that in. Off heat, I'll blend it.
A beautiful stock here. The stock has been reduced by at least half, right, to get some taste.
And
So
as
that's
always, you want to make more sauce than you think, don't you think?
Absolutely, yes. There's never enough.
Never enough.
Okay.
Well, let that simmer while you're
For a
finishing.
couple of minutes. Do you want some cream in there?
Well, why not?
You have some there. Okay,
A
good.
little cream.
And I'll continue cutting my chicken. Be sure to take the bone out. This is the thigh bone. Good. And the rest can be either cut or shredded. You don't want it to cut it too small anyway. Inch pieces. Here we are here. And in that situation, you want to be about ½ inch from the top of the gratin dish here. Mixing this in there. Do you have some peas for me there?
I
This would
do.
look good. But that's going to cook in the oven for a
These are
while.
frozen peas, but you said that if there were certain type, they were okay.
Yes, those I feel are very good on the market. Those are the tiny, they call it baby peas or tender peas or tiny peas. And when they pick them up, they open the tea pad, they put that into a mixture of water and salt. The specific gravity make it so the one which are high in sugar come to the top and the big one high in starch goes to the bottom. So the one which are picked up this way are nice, tender and small. So they're good. Here we are, that looks pretty
Well, you
good.
might taste this.
Yes. I need to.
Yeah.
I think the consistency is perfect. So shall we put it on top?
All right.
All right. Are we going to need all of it? Yes. Because you want it to be covered. It's just about perfect. You did good there. That's great.
This is perfectly good just as it is. You could call it chicken a la king. But we're going to make it into a pot pie, so we'll let it cool off a little bit.
Yes, here is our dough. And I just need a piece of that dough.
This is the dough we made, the pâte brisée, the nice butter pie crust dough.
Okay. I'm going to take about 1/3 of it. I should have enough with this here because this is not too big, right? Let's get it together.
You're going to do it into an oval shape.
I try.
And
I'm going to try.
And we have our oven is already preheated to what?
About 400
400.
degrees, 70, yes.
You
maybe
want to
then.
keep the dough cold. Matter of fact, I have a piece of marble I got in a graveyard stone making place. And it fits into my fridge, and that I keep it cold, and that's wonderful for pastry.
I think I'm going to put a little bit of wash around.
Egg wash.
Egg wash, yes.
That's
Break
a
it
good
on
idea. That'll make it stick, won't it?
Yes. And maybe the first thing that I'm going to do is to wet the side of my bowl.
That's going to
or
make
it
the
stick a little
pastry
bit,
stick.
Yeah. Okay.
This is actually quite cold because the chicken was cold. It was just the sauce that was hot. If it's too warm, that's going to thin out the pastry. Oh, that's nice.
I think it's about enough. We'll glue it around here. Yeah, so we just brush this. Okay. So that should be about, we can maybe mark the top a little bit.
You have to make a steam hole.
I think that'd probably be a good idea.
Yeah.
One here. Another one. One here and one there.
So, oven is preheated.
Yes, the oven.
And that's a good idea. Put it on a cookie sheet or a jelly roll pan so it won't boil over and hurt anything.
Okay. I think that would take a good 35, 45 minutes. It depends also whether your chicken is hot or cold. And now with the rest of the dough here, we're going to do an apple tart or apple galette.
You wouldn't expect a chicken pot pie dough to turn into a tart, but it's going to, isn't it? Fine.
So we're going to do a glaze first.
And this is a very French beginning to a tart. It's apricot glaze. And you just get plain apricot jam.
The best possible quality apricot jam will give you the best glaze. I'm peeling the apple during that time.
And I'm laboriously pushing this through a sieve.
We're using a golden here. Could use another type of apple, of course.
I think the golden is very important because it may not have the best flavor of all, but it does hold its shape. You're always safe with a golden.
Yes.
With a Granny Smith, if the Granny Smith is a little bit old, it can come apart. It can sometimes puff up. This is quite a bit of pulp in there.
Yes. Well, I can use it.
All right, I'll just give it to you. Now I'm going to put in a little sugar here. Put it about a tablespoon in there.
You could, of course, cut your apple in different way. You could slice the apple this way so you can put it like a deck of cards, you know, spreading it out like that on top of
That would be if we were going being elegant.
Yeah, but we are not elegant today.
No.
We are functional. Yes. And in this, I thought we'll put some raisins, although they're actually currant, but currant are small raisins. Maybe a little bit of dry apricot, just coarsely cut in this. Here we are. A bit of cinnamon. So maybe a teaspoon or so of cinnamon.
I love that.
That'd be the mixture of... and then a little bit of sugar.
Some sugar in?
Yes, a few, maybe 2, 3 tablespoons.
You know, there's some people that are so afraid of sugar that they'll serve you cut up fruit with no sugar on it, and then none of the juices have started to go.
That's true. So I have that piece left, which is about 2/3 of our recipe.
That's been kept nice
It's
and
a
cold.
bit hard, yes. So we're going to roll it right there. So you want to bang the dough a little bit like
That's a
this.
wonderful way of doing it, of just banging it like that.
Yeah.
And that spreads it out as you bang it.
Yes.
I learned that in Paris.
That get rid of your frustration too. Okay. That's it. So we're going to do a free-form type of dough here, extending it a lot. You know, you have to work fast here, especially when it's very hot in your kitchen.
That's why it's
Because
good
it
to have
tend
one of
to,
those marbles in the fridge all the time.
Yeah, the marble will tend to keep that really cold, you know. Here
I'm
we
going
are.
to pause for a moment, and at my glaze, it's now bubbling away, but I want it to boil down to the thread stage, which means until the last drops form a thread from the spoon, so it's not quite there.
Okay. Well, my dough is about ready now, and we'll roll that directly onto the rolling pin, and I'll put it on a cookie sheet like this. All right, here we are. So that's a big tart.
Now this is finally ready, but as you can see, that is threading as it comes off the end of the spoon. But I think you're right, Jack, that we're not going to have enough for the top, so why not put a little bit of just...
You want some of
And
that
then
in the
we'll
bottom?
have both lumps and clear. It gives an awfully nice flavor, I think.
Yes, a little bit in the bottom. Then I can put my fruit right on top of it. We want to spread it out, you know, until almost to the edge. I mean, you want to have about a good inch left of the edge. And very simply now you bring back that dough on top of it. We're doing a kind of
It's
receptacle
nice being able
here.
to do free form, because it's so much easier, I think.
Yes, and you use all the dough. You don't have anything left over.
Yes.
You know. Good. Sometimes I put a little bit of sugar here on the side so it brown nicely. And then we need a bit of butter in it, about 2 tablespoons of butter or so.
You can always leave out the butter if you feel you must.
But it's better with it.
Oh, always.
And I'm going to put that in the oven, 400 degrees, for like an hour.
Chicken pot pie.
Look nice and brown. Now I
That
think
looks
it's ready.
beautiful.
Yes. So, whoop. This is a nice dish to bring
That
to the
looks
table,
lovely.
you know.
That looks beautiful. This one serve
Cut the-
6 people, don't you think?
Oh yeah, it's easy, yes. What do you think?
Oh, that looks lovely.
Look at that.
There's all that nice sauce. Oh,
Yeah,
it
that'd be very
smells beautiful.
I'm testing
And
in
then-
the big dish and you're testing in the plate, right?
I want to see how that.
It's hot.
Oh, well,
But good.
that's a very good pie crust,
Yeah, you do.
isn't it?
No, very good. And
That's
then
lovely.
now we move on to the big tart, right?
Well, that's beautiful.
You want to bring your glaze?
You want to put a few drops of Grand Marnier in?
Yeah.
Is that
And it
okay?
gives a finished look, you know, when you can even brush a little bit of it
That's nice.
on the crust, you know. And I like to put that with the spoon, like if you are glazing it this
That
way.
makes all the difference. If you don't have the glaze, it's not as jolly.
not quite as
as here,
nice,
is it?
yes.
Yes, this is lovely. That looks very nice.
Yes, and it's easy to serve, you know, for a big party. You do those big tarts like this, and they are nice to cut like into wedge, you know.
Well,
It works out pretty good, you know. Here it is.
that looks pretty good.
You think we should have some whipped cream with
Oh,
that?
yes, we might have some whipped cream.
I'm gonna put a little bit here. I want to give it a little bit of a finishing touch with a sprig of mint, maybe, on top here.
That's very nice because it goes with the plate too.
Yes.